Hey guys, this is Marty from CrossFit Eastern Ridge. Welcome back to Beyond the Ridge. This is strategy and tips for 16.4. Taking to the board. 16.4. Deadlift, wall ball, calorie row, and then handstand push-ups, hand release push-ups, or push press, depending on if you're doing RX scaled or master. There's a number of variants there. So we're going to talk strategy tonight on each of these. And this is a chipper tonight. So you have 13 minutes to complete 55 of each. And then if you can lap back around, you're going to start right over at, in order to get to the 13-minute time cap. To start off with the deadlift, there are a lot of ways to do deadlift successfully. Really the one tip I'm going to offer you tonight is minimize your rest. So whether you choose to do sets of 3, sets of 5, sets of 7, sets of 11, sets of 22, whatever it is, minimize your rest in between, because just controlling the amount of break you have in between is going to allow you to finish in a very reasonable time on these deadlifts. If it's heavy for you, go ahead, do singles. This is your choice, but it is going to tire you out. Expect to be fatigued in the hamstrings and the lower back when you get off of those. So find a way to break it up so you can just keep going. Wall balls. Being the second movement, you're already fatigued in the posterior chain, your hamstrings and your glutes and your lower back. You're going to have to get into that nice deep squat position. Expect to get no repped. Wall balls during the open, you always get no repped, whether it be for depth at the bottom or for missing your target at the top. Just accept it and move on. Usually that no rep is the one that's going to tee off a whole bunch of successful ones right after it. Break it up however you did. Everyone who did it tonight during the throwdown experienced that they had to break it up a little bit sooner than they normally would. So this is not your Karen, because you just finished all those deadlifts just before it. Next up is a calorie row. This is the metabolic version of the deadlift, meaning you have to keep pulling with the posterior chain. So this is one where you're already going to be fatigued after all the work you've already done, and specifically the deadlifts, which are moderate to heavy weight for some of you. What you're going to want to do is actually dial down on the damper on the rower and treat it more like a recovery. So rather than taking like deep, slow, heavy pulls, go ahead, go a little bit lighter on the damper, use it as a recovery. So quicker pulls and still keep that, that heart rate up, but you want to keep going. You do not want to get to the point where you're just taking one pull and resting for a long, long time. Finally, handstand push-ups. Either you love them or you hate them. When you get there, these are a gymnastic movement, so you know that linking too many together could fatigue you poorly or heavily at the end. So you're going to want to break it up early and get back on the wall quickly. The quicker you can cycle through them, get to the next rest, that's the best you're going to be able to do. All right, now we're going to take it to see some of the athletes, practice some of the techniques. All right, so Rachel's going to come over here. We're going to do a little bit of deadlifting. So for Rachel, she likes the deadlift. So when she stepped in, she did high reps right out of the gate. She did 21, 17, 11. She was doing the high numbers and she was able to link them together very well, and she felt nice and fresh. So what we're going to look at here is Rachel's going to link together. I'm just going to have her do a set of 7 or so. We're going to see how she does a clean deadlift. She doesn't bounce it at the bottom. She's just going to tap it gently, and she can still keep a plenty good pace just by being consistent with that stand up. And when you get to that last rep, you don't want to waste the negative, so that's when you drop it. There you go, piece of cake. All right, here we have Danielle. She's going to demonstrate a couple of wall balls. So wall balls, the important aspect to pay attention to here is number one point is get deep enough in the squat. Danielle's doing a great job of getting the crease of her hips below the tops of her knees on each rep. The second point is hitting the target. So here, Danielle has to hit the black target on the front of it each time. She's doing a huge set of unbroken wall balls here. Nice job, but that was a great example of making sure you link them together by getting proper depth. Expect to get no rep. Like I said, sometimes finding that depth is not easy right out of the gate. Sometimes finding that target is not easy right out of the gate. So Danielle did a great job of doing both. So we've got Rachel here on the row. Rowing is one of Rachel's favorites. She just killed it today. She set her damper up to 10 and just like gave it. So, and she did awesome. She was averaging somewhere between like 950 and 1050 on calories per hour on her entire row. So she smoked it. So I'm gonna have Rachel start rowing here. What Rachel does really well in her row is she keeps a good posture. She's keeping her core nice and tight. So right here, we expect that she's going to be pretty fatigued after the deadlifts, but she still wants to be able to keep her core nice and tight. That's going to allow her to get more energy into the row. So right now she's like rowing about a 1140 calories per hour. That's a solid pace. She's doing a good job, and at about 25 strokes a minute. So if she were to get to the point where she was getting tired doing the high resistance, what we could always do is take this damper, set it down to something lower, 6.5 for Rachel. And for her to maintain the same sort of tempo, she's gonna have to go to a faster stroke rate. She's not gonna be pulling as hard in each stroke, but she's doing more strokes. So now we peak, yep, right there. She's right there, right around 1100 calories per minute. So doing a good job. Just a couple different strategies. How do you mix it up? Maybe trade some of the pulling resistance for some of the recovery time and a lighter pull resistance. So whatever works for you, that's what you should choose. But either way, your goal is get to the end of the row so you can get your tie break time and get onto the handstand push-ups. Thanks, Rachel. All right, we're gonna go over the handstand push-ups. I just want to go over the measurement real quick so it's a little bit easier to understand what you're doing when you're getting set up for this workout. So we've got Mitter here. She's going to demonstrate. What we're going to have her do is she's going to stand with her feet hip width apart, toes at the wall. She's going to raise both of her arms up above her head and thumbs together. So then we measure down from the heel of her hand, 3 inches. And that's where we get the line from. So at 3 inches, we've got a line here that says Mitter. For each rep, in order to start, she's going to have to kick into a handstand. Her heels must touch the wall. Both heels touch the wall above her line. And then each rep that she gets counted, the heels must come up above the line again. So we'll have Mitter kick up into the handstand. And I'll say, yes, she's got her height, and then she can start her handstand push-ups. Head contact, she's allowed to kip. And yes, rep. And let's go 2 more. Yes. And 3. Great job. So Mitter did a great job of getting full extension in her handstand push-ups. She was getting a good 1.5 to 2 inches above the line, meaning she had plenty to go. As you go further into the handstand push-ups, your body's going to get a little floppier. You're going to get more bend in your spine, more hyperextension. You're not going to press out your shoulders as much. So as you start getting more tired, you're going to find that you may not get your heels over the line anymore. So do everything you can. Press your toes down to get your heels up, but especially shrug your shoulders, tighten up your core in order to get your body nice and straight against that wall, and that's going to be the best way that you get every rep out of your handstand push-ups. These are the movements for this week. As always, we want to thank FitAid, our sponsor for our Friday Night Lights, and also want to encourage you to subscribe to our newsletter, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and of course like us on Facebook and Google. So see you next time.